we ask that everybody keep their mics off. See the mutes in the bottom left-hand corner. You can keep your videos on, just keep your mics off to minimize interruptions. If you won't have any questions, there's the chat. I'll send a chat right now for anybody who hasn't, who's just joining us. There it is, so you should get a little notification. With that in mind, our speakers tonight are Maryann Belason, the Circle K International Administrator, and Will Bradford, the Key Club Administrator. I'm not sure who wants to talk first, but feel free to start presenting.
Thanks, Sam. As Sam said, my name is Maryann. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Circle K District Administrator, and Will Bradford will be presenting with me as well. He is likely setting up the live stream, and I don't know how to get rid of my present. Oh, no. How's that, Will?
Your screen looks good, and we are ready to go.
All right. I'll let you start off.
Okay, so tonight's topic is about financially supporting our service leadership programs, and especially through the challenging times of COVID-19. Just to start off, I think this is probably a repeat for everybody who's with us on Zoom tonight, but just to lay the groundwork, when we say service leadership programs, we are referring to 5 members of the Kiwanis family, the youngest of whom is K-Kids, which is the branch for elementary school students. K-Kids, we have about 40 clubs in New England. We then have Builders Club in about 47 middle schools in New England. We have Key Club in about 150 high schools in New England. We have Circle K at 8 colleges and universities in New England. And then we have 6 action clubs for adults with disabilities across New England. I like to show the numbers on there, mainly just to show that Key Club is bigger than Kiwanis, just so we all remember that. Moving on, one of the big financial obligations that all of our service leadership programs have are dues and fees. And they work a little bit differently with each of the branches. So in Key Club, Circle K, and Action Club, we charge per member dues for all of the members of those programs. So in Key Club, we charge $10.50 per student. So $7 of that goes to international, $3.50 goes to the district. In Action Club, we charge $8 per member. And then in Circle K, there's a flat club fee of either $400 or $600, plus $3.50 per member. So each member of each of those service leadership programs is responsible for paying the cost of those dues. For each of those programs as well, there is a timeline to pay dues. So dues for all 3 of those programs are due by December 1st. For Key Club and Action Club, typically the advisor takes the responsibility of collecting the dues, logging into the membership update center, updating the roster, getting the invoice, and getting the check cut in order to send in that payment. In college, in Circle K, generally the students take responsibility for that. So December 1st is the deadline to submit dues. There's then a little bit of a grace period until February 1st. And on February 1st, if the club has not paid, they're placed on suspended status. So basically what that means is that they are past due on their dues, and they kind of are on a warning status. Practically speaking, what that means is that it becomes a lot harder to go in and update the roster and pay dues. So I always encourage Key Clubs, even if you can't get the check cut, get that roster finalized before February 1st. And if the check comes in, 2 weeks after that, we're fine. But if they don't have that roster finished by February 1st, it really, it's a pain to get it done. You have to call international and jump through some hoops. After that, they basically stay, if they haven't paid, they stay on suspended status through the end of the Kiwanis year. So the following October 1st, that Key Club, Circle K Club, or Action Club is then put on inactive status. When that happens, basically the sponsoring Kiwanis Club is going to need to step in and reactivate that club. And there's normally a period of 3 years where that club stays on inactive status. And basically, if the sponsoring Kiwanis Club can get it going again, they have to submit reactivation paperwork and a $100 fee plus the dues for that future year in order to bring that club back. If after 3 years the club hasn't been reactivated, the charter is revoked, and we assume that it's gone forever, and we don't like it when that happens. Builders Club and K-Kids are a little different. So basically for those two younger programs, the Kiwanis Club secretary receives an invoice on October 1 for a flat fee to cover the renewal for that Builders Club or K-Kids Club for the year. And then if they have an especially large, they get a renewal package in the mail that includes membership pins and all that. If they have an especially large club, they can then purchase additional renewal packages. So it's a little bit of a simpler process. They don't have to go through the process of actually collecting those dues from the members. So when we talk about the role of a sponsoring Kiwanis Club, this is straight from Kiwanis International. The one thing that I think is important in tonight's context is that really every sponsoring Kiwanis Club should have some line item in their service budget for the year to help with expenses for their service leadership programs. And what those expenses might be will vary depending on which type of service leadership program it is, and also what that specific club's needs are. So in Key Club, oftentimes Kiwanis clubs will help their Key Club attend the district educational conference. They may sponsor some kind of event to celebrate the Key Clubbers at the end of the year. They may provide a scholarship opportunity for Key Clubbers. They may help send students from high school to attend Key Leader in September. This year, Key Leader is not happening in September. If I don't think the odds are very good right now that we're going to be seeing district conventions in March and April for both Circle K and Key Club. One of the things that not a lot of Kiwanis clubs do that I think is going to be incredibly important as we kind of work our way through this COVID-19 period is many of these service leadership programs might need some help with dues. And I know I've talked to a lot of Kiwanians about this issue in a lot of different communities, and I've heard a lot of different opinions and perspectives about whether Kiwanis clubs should be helping students with dues. But I think given the unusual circumstances, if you have money set aside to help with travel that's not happening, and you have Key Clubbers who maybe can't get together in person for meetings, maybe they can get together, but their families are going through some difficult economic times. If it's $10.50, if Kiwanis can pitch in to help a few of those students or help all the students who have need this year especially, it'll really play a big role, I think, in helping us maintain the organization and keep those kids involved. So with COVID-19, obviously, we don't really know what's going to happen next month. I did a survey of our faculty advisors for our Key Club district, and I asked them what their reopening plans were. I sent out the survey at the beginning of August. I've been getting results trickle in over the past 3 weeks, and nobody knows. It's a short version of the results. It's all very much up in the air. But what we do know is that in March, when schools closed and went virtual, a lot of schools actually placed restrictions on extracurricular activities. So they said that extracurricular activities couldn't meet for the remainder of the school year in order to have students focus on academics. We also know that a lot of schools that are doing hybrid reopening plans basically have a plan where they're trying to break up the student body into independent groups and have those groups not interact with each other in order to limit the potential for COVID to spread through the entire school. So whether that is in elementary school, middle school, high school, or college, a lot of these plans and restrictions that are being laid out are going to have an impact on our service leadership programs. And in a lot of cases, those service leadership programs might not be able to meet this year in person. And that's going to pose some challenges. We've been having a lot of dialogues with International about how this is going to work. And they're working on putting out some guidance, and our student leaders are working on putting together some guidance for remote service, for virtual service, for online meetings, sample agendas, sample programs, how to run a Zoom meeting, things like that, to try to help these service leadership programs stay active. Our students still want to make a difference. They still want to get involved. They still want to have extracurriculars and leadership opportunities and all of those things. So we have to figure out a way to make sure that we can continue to provide that no matter what school looks like. The other thing that they've told us in very broad terms for Key Club, and I don't believe they've actually put out any guidance for the other service leadership programs, but for Key Club, they've told us that if a Key Club can't meet this year at a high school and they're not able to function as a club, basically that Key Club will not get penalized for not paying dues. So if a Key Club is not allowed because of COVID-19 restrictions to get together, to meet, to collect dues, to do service, basically that Key Club will be kind of on hiatus this year. And they'll be able to resume in 2021, 2022 with the kind of the following school year and pick up and kind of go through the whole rhythm of paying dues and everything as if 2020 never happened, which would be lovely. One of the things that I think is really important for us as Kiwanians to monitor during this time is if our service leadership programs can't meet and kind of fade away at the school this year, we need to make sure to be there to play an active role next year. So we might see a quarter, half of our service leadership programs unable to meet this year, and they won't have student leaders. They won't be holding meetings. They won't be doing service. When school starts in September 2021, assuming school starts in September 2021, they haven't had Key Club since March of 2020. So only the juniors and seniors in 2021 were in the school in March of 2020. So only half the school has ever heard of Key Club. So they're going to have to take, that small percentage, last year's freshmen and sophomores, as next year's juniors and seniors, and really recruit and build that club back up. Hopefully the advisors still at the school, but in 2 years, there can be a lot of changes in faculty. So as Kiwanians, we really need to stay tuned and be present and be there, not only with the financial support that our Key Clubs and other service leadership programs may need with dues, but really to be there for administrative and leadership support and guidance as well.
So I think, as terrible as COVID has been for, I would say, all of us, I think that there are some, fairly unique opportunities that this has presented to us. First and foremost, our communities and the kids in the communities still need us. And they really need us more than ever before. And food insecurity is just one way or one problem that has just been compounded by COVID. And so, we got to do what we can to help our communities in unique ways that we never have before, right? There are lots of platforms and ways for us to interact with each other, to collaborate, learn, network, relationship building between, Kiwanis and the SLPs. I would say, feedback from the college students is that they're constantly looking for new ways of engaging and new ways of interacting with each other, and they're sponsoring Kiwanis Club. So I think, now that we are all virtual and we're all staying home, I think it's a great opportunity to, if your relationship's been lagging a little bit with your SLP, maybe now's the time to, invite them to your next Zoom meeting, or, figure out some other socially distant, acceptable way to, you know, reconnect with them. Another key point that Kiwanis was talking about, I had a district administrator meeting last night, and something that was mentioned to me by Kiwanis International was that, you know, they're looking for ways to be more inventive about sponsorship, if you will. So even if your club doesn't directly sponsor an SLP, or you sponsor, you know, a key club, but you'd really love to help out Circle K, for example, there's lots of different ways you can do that. You know, if you guys have funding and you know that there's a struggling Kiwanis club who sponsors SLPs, you know, help them out. And you don't have to reach out to the club directly. You know, all of the administrators in New England can certainly help out and connect you with who you might need to connect with. But definitely, you know, even if you, again, don't directly sponsor an SLP, there's lots of different ways that you can help out, both financially and otherwise. So we thought we would bring in some fundraising ideas. I know that's the theme of the night. All of these that we've sort of put together can be done with your SLPs. I know I rely on my college students to help me with technology. So if you might not be as technologically savvy as I am, or, you know, would like to be, you know, those SLPs, the SLP students, if you will, excuse me, can definitely help out with that sort of platform. But just getting together and coming up with these ideas can really help build that relationship, and that make a greater impact on your community. So virtual trivia nights, I know that my club is hosting one next week, virtual paint nights, runs and walks virtually. Middletown Kiwanis in Connecticut did a very successful can and bottle drive a couple months ago, I believe. Again, there's any number of organizations that are looking for donations, both for school supplies, cleaning supplies, anything, you know, clothes, whatever. Restaurant fundraisers are a great way to help out in the community and raise some funds. Getting those mom and pop owned restaurants, you know, see if they'll sponsor a fundraiser for you. And then you get some marketing to them as well. Online cooking classes was another one that was brought up. So these are all great ideas that can be done virtually.
And there was a great workshop at 6 o'clock earlier today that talked about a bunch of virtual fundraiser ideas. One of the things that wasn't mentioned in that workshop that I think is important to think about, as Maryann said, is that all of those can be joint fundraisers that you do with your SLPs, or they can be SLP run fundraisers that Kiwanis supports. So if your SLPs are trying to figure out how to do fundraising, online painting class, you know, it doesn't need to be a paint and sip as the adults would do. It can be just a and then it's a great fundraiser for our service leadership programs.
Absolutely. And I mean, and I was going to mention the workshop earlier. I think Anna had some great ideas there. Your own club fundraiser. So many of you have existing consistent fundraisers that maybe have been put on hold because of COVID, but can you change it? Can you make it online? Can you make it a drive-in, a drive-up? Is it okay to be socially distant at your fundraiser? Are there raffle prizes that can be dropped off at people's houses if they won? Take it to the donor. So the online cooking class, maybe, you know, everyone gets sent the kit who has applied to be part of the event, and you know, those get sent off to the people. And don't be afraid, you know, to be creative, have fun, interact with your SLPs, and most importantly, to ask for funds. And you know, I think one of the things that we all kind of think right now is, oh my God, everyone's financially strapped, everyone's having a hard time. I can't ask anybody for money. Where sort of the opposite can be true. People tend to give more in times like this than maybe we might not expect. So don't be afraid to ask for funds. And the same thing, you know, the SLPs will also, need to ask for funds likely to be considered solvent for next year. We ran through that very quickly, but I wanted to generate some conversation around what questions people had and see if there were any ideas floating out there, any help anybody needed. The resources I'll just run through quickly. Janice Andrews is the New England K-Kids administrator. Judy Barrett is on tonight. She's the Builders Club administrator. Daryl Sylvia, is the Action Club administrator. And of course, Will and I. And Kiwanis.org is another great resource. But I saw Jim pop up with some ideas in the chat as we were going through. Did you want to share, Jim? I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Oh, never give a Leo male a chance to talk, or he'll just take over. Hi, Maryann. Hi, Will. Hi, everybody. I just I don't know if everybody can read it. I had a question for Will. Can a non-Key Club high school, can our Kiwanis Club sponsor a student or two to attend Key Leader when it's reinstated? Of course, my thinking there is that we want to seed a student leader for a charter drive for a new Key Club. Yes.
Short answer is absolutely. Any high school student, I think actually any student 8th through 12th grade is eligible to attend Key Leader. In addition to that, I just put a link in the chat on newenglandkeyclub.org on our Key Leader page. We actually have some information about a new offering from Kiwanis International this year for a virtual Key Leader. So basically what they did is they took the kind of introductory leadership elements of the Key Leader program and turned it into a virtual self-paced course that's open to anybody. So any student can take it for free. Any adult can take it for free. I've been meaning to. It's on my to-do list because I want to see how it turned out. But that's a great opportunity for our Key Club students and other SLP students if they want to get a little taste of kind of that leadership, that service leadership education that Key Leader provides.
Thank you.
I think the long-term goal with that would be that the online course is almost like an introduction to the full weekend experience. So hopefully that full weekend will be back in 2021.
And then just, again, just to add to the ideas, a few years ago, our Builders Club on Aquidneck Island, we challenged them to do a mitten drive, to get the faculty involved and other students. People have, it's easy to buy mittens or to raid the closet a little bit and bring those in. And then we gave them to a local family shelter. So again, like you say, be creative in the projects. Pet food drive is another one too. Everybody loves animals.
They do. My nephew's upstairs watching The Secret Life of Pets right now. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it's a good movie.
I'd like to acknowledge Will, who last year helped us understand the Key Club International Convention situation. We were contacted by a student, not from our Key Club, but from a neighboring town Key Club. Never would have thought of it, but she was very forward and asked for a donation, and we wound up, Will explained to us how it worked and what the amounts were and whatnot, and Weston contributed to her being able to attend the international convention, and I think it was Baltimore, right? So thank you, Will.
Awesome. And that's exactly what I was talking about. Like I said, COVID has affected all of us, right? And I think that some of us may be in a better position to help than others. And so, even if you don't want to ask, or even if you don't want to assume, feel free, if you have the means to help out a local SLP, whether financially or just, again, networking, building those relationships with the students. They're constantly looking to connect and learn and grow professionally. So definitely feel free to reach out to one of the administrators if you guys have that ability. Judy, I saw you pop in there, but I couldn't read all of it. Did you want to share your idea?
I was just suggesting a virtual, like some type of virtual fitness.
Yeah.
I was going to talk to I'm currently involved in training right now with my gym. And so I was going to talk to them to see if that's something they could come up with and get the students to be a little bit more active while they're at home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of during the summer months or the, spring, summer months, a lot of our fundraisers tend to be walks or runs or, that kind of event. And so those are very easily transferred virtually. And, partnering with a gym, I think that would be a great idea to be able to.
I think it could be really fun. Like, how many, maybe they could get sponsors on how many jumping jacks can they do, squats, or, there's all kinds of different things. I just need to figure out how to make it happen.
Sure. Definitely some logistics, but awesome. Thanks. Did anybody else, well, I guess the question, has anyone else done any virtual fundraisers that have been successful or not successful, or have any input on any of the ideas we discussed tonight?
I have a little bit of input, I guess.
Yeah.
I've already had our first Zoom meeting with my Key Club. Went very well. It lasted like an hour and a half. And the kids were already coming up with a few things as far as increasing their social media, working with the principal to get the message out via emailing all the students, because some may not have social media accounts. Putting something on the school homepage or whatever platform they're using virtually. And then they want to run some kind of a contest, and maybe, or not necessarily a contest, but provide a gift to each member who joins. So they were looking at designing something really simple, or looking on the store. If it's a small amount of money, our club has offered to help with that. Just some incentive ideas to get members joined.
Thank you, Judy. And that's absolutely right. One of the things we're really struggling with is how do we stay relevant, or how do we stay, how do we add value to the students' lives, right? If we're going to ask them to spend, $10.50 to be a member, or, whatever in the other levels, how do we stay relevant to them? How do we impact their lives in the current environment that we're in to make it worth being a member?
Right.
And so, I think that's a great way, some little gift like, oh, you want to be a member? Great. Here's a little gift for you,
right.
And
they talked about coming up with a postcard also, to maybe mail, because I offered up my postage machine I have at my office. So we talked about them designing a postcard. We've also already set up where my particular Key Club, Wednesdays are going to be like their free day, I guess. So we've already scheduled 11 o'clock every Wednesday, 2 Wednesdays a month for the board meeting, and 2 Wednesdays a month for general members.
That's awesome.
Yeah, all by Zoom.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that was, I guess that was my question then. So I was going to create a Zoom account because the president of the Key Club, we kept getting booted out every 40 minutes. So is that something I have to purchase an account on my own, or could our club do that, or does International provide any of that?
So Judy, check with the faculty advisor first, because Zoom offers free accounts to schools, to education. So a lot of schools, a lot of teachers are using Zoom for education. So if the faculty advisor is going to be attending the meetings, the faculty advisor almost definitely has access to
She did attend. She didn't say anything.
basically a free paid Zoom account.
Okay, Zoom free paid account. Okay.
Yeah. So the first level up of payment for Zoom, which is what we're using tonight, is I think $10 a month, something like that. It's if your Kiwanis club would also use it, and maybe a couple different Key clubs would use it, it might be worth the investment. Because it adds some more features as well. But one of the things that you also mentioned that I really liked is that the students are doing a lot of social media. And I think that's a great thing that I've seen is our SLP members aren't on Facebook anymore.
Right.
They're on Instagram, but they're using the heck out of Instagram, and really every year and this year especially, it's amazing the amount of social media promotion that they're doing. And it's been really a great tool. On the district level, we have basically the lieutenant governors and the district leaders are able to get in touch with some club leaders that normally we wouldn't communicate with. Just like in Kiwanis, we have Kiwanis clubs that don't talk to the district. Same is true in Key Club, same is true in Circle K. But on the club level, it's also a great tool to send out those announcements, to talk about service projects. If they have, make sure that they get the media waivers and all that through the school. But if it's okay with the school and all of that, maybe, highlighting members who are doing service and being active, to give them a little bit of a reward, make them feel special for participating. And then also kind of show a role model. So maybe there's a student at the school who hasn't joined Key Club, and they see all these awesome things that Key Club's doing through that social media. They're not in the school building every day, so they're maybe not seeing the posters and the announcements and everything, but it's kind of a different way that can be used to help promote the club and kind of get that attention and put a human face on it for other students who are looking to get involved.
Right.
Another thing that I'm sorry, just a thought. Matt Delia, his wife is a school teacher, and he was texting me while we were talking that she uses Google. She's a Google school. I don't know what that means, but you can ask. But anyway, Google Hangouts or Google Talk. Google has Google Meet. Thank you. Technology is hard. But anyway, that could be an opportunity as well if the Zoom doesn't work for whatever reason.
Okay.
I'm sorry, though, I cut you off.
No, that's okay. I was saying, and one of the other things they're going to try to work on is a newsletter. Getting that everybody on a monthly.
I think that's great. I think that's what. Before COVID, I think we were all so active in doing things that we sort of forgot about communicating what we did. And so I think that's great that, we're sort of going back to the basics a little bit and setting up good platforms for communication, publicizing what we're doing and getting the word out there. So I think that Matt's laughing at me because I don't know how to speak technology, but really getting the word out there again will help, I think, sort of through this tough transition. And one of the things Kiwanis International is, they're very aware that a lot of clubs are going to be in a tough spot financially speaking, but they also are looking for ways to stay relevant in the students' lives and, you know, trying to be impactful, creating classes and other ways of interacting. Everything's going to be online for clubs to use resources and things like that. So, you know, again, while we still have to pay the dues, you know, we don't want to just be doing stuff and not doing it under that Kiwanis umbrella. You know, there is a lot of understanding that there may be situations in which, you know, they can't pay or whatever. And so, you know, Will alluded to that earlier, where there's that pause on escalation of non-payment, if you will. So
I just have one question.
yeah, go ahead,
You know,
Judy.
the last question I have was the president talked about, and the advisor as well. Can my home Kiwanis club be responsible for, or I guess holding on to any dues money because they're not sure how it's going to happen with the school and whether or not they'll have access to those funds. So they were wondering if my home club can hang on to any funds that come in and dues and take care of any of that responsibility. Is that allowed?
I can't speak. I know in Massachusetts, our municipal finance law covers things like that on the school level. But from a Kiwanis perspective, if the school's okay with it, I think that's honestly a great solution.
Okay.
We actually have encouraged a couple clubs to do that for Decon registration, where the school can't do it. The school can't collect the funds and put out one check. One of the nice things about Kiwanis taking responsibility, so if the members pay Kiwanis their dues and then Kiwanis pays it to International, International can actually take a card. It can take a debit or a credit card. So if your club treasurer is sitting at the computer and has the club debit card, you can process it online and it pays instantly. As opposed to if you generate an invoice and send in a check, it goes to a PO box in Indianapolis where their payment processing vendor receives the check and processes it, and a month later it finally shows up on the dues roster. So it's really, I think it's a great solution, and I'd say check with the school or check with the faculty.
Yeah.
You know, it might be a situation where they say the school needs to maintain the Key Club's funds. But if that's the case, if the students are paying dues to Kiwanis and they pay the portion that goes to International in the district to your Kiwanis club, that might still be something where that is acceptable at the school level.
Right. Okay. I mean, we're still holding on to their refund from Decon. So
Are you one of the
was
six
fine.
that hasn't cashed their check yet?
What?
Are you one of the 6 clubs that still hasn't cashed?
No, no, we're good because the principal just said, yeah, keep the money. He's pretty flexible.
Yeah, it can definitely, that's definitely something that was challenging. You know, I think when the world went remote, there wasn't a lot of time to plan, and a lot of school business offices kind of shut the door and,
Yeah.
you know, locked the safe, and, you know, everything ground to a halt. So I am hoping that with the summer, we've kind of been able to go back and figure out some systems there. But that's definitely a place where Kiwanis can play a role as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack, did you have an idea that popped in?
Yeah, wouldn't unmute. So I just had a statement that you were talking fundraising and somebody was talking can drive. It's not my Kiwanis, but my church. We have Pat the Can Man. He's in our church parking lot, 1 to 2 hours, 1 day a week. We've been doing it for just about 2 months now, and we're already over $1,000.
Wow.
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 Pat the Can Man and his canettes.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think, again, COVID shut down and we weren't allowed to put our bottles and cans away anymore. I think that's since changed, at least in Massachusetts, but a lot of people had lots and lots of, these 5-cent cans sitting around the house for a while that they couldn't recycle. So, that's definitely a good point to try and get out there and collect from people.
I don't know about the other states, but here in Massachusetts, as far as I can tell, everybody has gone to the machines now. And the places with the machines only collect what they sell. Whereas the other places you used to go to, they just take everything and sort them.
Right.
But it's still, some of them restrict you to how many each visit, but it's still a good way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna check with Sam to see if there was any questions through the Facebook.
I don't think there
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, I didn't think there were any.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just want to make sure that everyone's thoughts and questions got addressed. Was there any other final thoughts? We can talk all night about SLPs and fundraisers. Will and I are obviously both very passionate about it, but we don't want to stay here all night. Anybody have any thoughts or questions? Oh, great job to West Springfield and Agawam. 21,000 cans collected. Wow, that's awesome. Good job.
They were all dirty too. People don't rinse their cans. So yeah.
I think I'm also guilty of that.
Wear gloves if you do it.
Good tip.
No, I think if we don't have any other questions, I think we can wrap it up. If anybody has any questions they want to ask specifically to me and Maryann, I think we can stick around on Zoom for a little bit, but I'll go ahead and end the recording and live stream. And thank you very much to everybody for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thanks everyone.